Righto. So we'll do Don now, shall we?
Yeah, I don't think Lyndon is here. Oh, he's just come in.
Lyndon? Yeah, look at it. Ready to go, man. Good timing.
Any of these microphones work, do they? Yeah. Right, that's a bit of a rush. Didn't realise how hard it was to get a car park at this hour of night. It took me 25 minutes to get from Riccarton.
You're preaching to the converted here.
Right, everyone, I'm Lyndon Telfer. This is my first time here, so go easy on me. My submission on the 10-year plan isn't about asking for extra money. In fact, it's the complete opposite. It's about making sure rates are affordable for all. Now, I think I've got these numbers right. Everywhere I look, I find different numbers. I say the proposed rates rises of 16% next year, 8% the year after, and 58% over the next 10 years, in my mind, are astonishingly high and for many, completely unaffordable. Now, just taking my own personal situation, I'm not about to retire, but if I was to retire, my current rates are 21% of New Zealand superannuation. I think you might have heard this before, looking at some of the faces around the table here. And in 10 years' time, there'll be 28% of superannuation. And that just assumes a standard 2% rate increase to superannuation. And the hideously meagre $750 rates rebate, which we've had for many, many years, it's been fixed. So I'll ask you a question, I don't expect an answer. It's, is it acceptable for someone to be spending 28 to 30% of their superannuation just on rates? Now, each time rates go up, you tell us it's just another $8 or $10 per week for an average value house. But the problem is we get told that every year. Now, so I'm here to encourage you to make some tough decisions and say no to the many individuals, community and special interest groups that will lobby you to spend more money. Now, I'm sure they'll make emotional pleas for more money, but you need to balance that benefit for the small group against the cost to all ratepayers. Look, the reality is that most Christchurch people simply want affordable rates. Now, when I speak to family, friends and colleagues at work about these rates rises, they say there's nothing we can do about it. And I say to them, well, have you made a submission so you guys around the table here can hear the balanced viewpoint of the minority, probably I suspect like myself, that are prepared to get up and speak in front of you. Now, the reality is most of them will never make a submission, even though I send them links, send them my submission, say, hey, look, it's not that bad. But anyway, look, just by way of example of where you could possibly save some money and some things to encourage you thinking differently. For instance, if you trim 10% from the proposed $1.6 billion fund for road, footpath and road infrastructure budget over the next 10 years, I suspect most of us wouldn't even notice. And I think also the consequences of a failure for a footpath or a road surface are much lower than if you defer likes of a water pipe renewal. We can live with a pothole on the road for a few days, well, we do anyway. So, look, I work for government and I'm going through changes at work at the moment, and I think one of the important things you do, and I said in my job at the moment, is that if you need to get rates rises down, yes, you can go to your managers and ask where they can find cost savings, but I actually challenge you to actually get external people on to look at it, because no manager wants to cut their budget because it affects them and their staff, and no one likes doing that. One other plea here is I think you need to focus really on must-have work. This is the absolute must-haves, and that's projects, looking at projects that could, and by focusing on that, I think you'll find projects that can be deferred or simply scrapped. Now, you'll receive reports from council staff saying that something's at the end of life or not fit for purpose. What does that mean when someone says that? Ask the tough questions and say, if we don't replace the traffic signals next year, what are the consequences of danger or failure? Look, I travelled over to the US at Christmas just on a family holiday, and here I am pleading for you not to spend money on rates rises, but you look at the infrastructure in there in countries like Europe. They don't replace their pavers every 10 years. They don't replace their traffic signals. They keep things going. And that's part of the beauty of some of these countries as well. So look, the ultimate question you need to ask is whether something must be done. And there needs to be some risk in decision making. And there needs to be acceptance. There'll sometimes be failures in infrastructure. We accept that. Now, Mayor, I voted for you on the basis that you would hopefully keep rates rises at inflation. I'm sure you've heard this from many of us over the next 3 years. So as far as I'm concerned, you already have a mandate to cut costs to achieve this, just like the current national government does in coalition with New Zealand First and ACT. A lot of people are complaining about what they're doing, but we knew what we were going to get when we voted for that. You know, I accept that we might not have the same level of service and we might not get our roads resurfaced for a few more years. That's okay, because by keeping rates down, you're going to make Christchurch an affordable city where the younger generation can afford to buy and the older generation can afford to retire. Because rates are a housing affordability issue. It's not just about paying your mortgage now. You need to find another $100 a week for your rates. Thank you for listening.
No, thank you. That was very good. Thank you for coming in and seeing us. Sorry, you're still puffing, aren't you?
Oh, well, I was running. To be honest, I'm a bit nervous. I haven't done this sort of thing in an environment like this
nothing
before.
To be scared
so,
of.
Yeah.
Nothing to be scared of.